Hello, and welcome to The Connection. This podcast is about understanding and building the connection we have with others and with ourselves. I hope that through this podcast, you'll be able to have more joy and fulfillment in your life. I'm your host, Jared Hurst. This week, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about friendship. I know that's kind of an interesting topic. When I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about for the week and some of the ideas that I had, friendship popped into my mind and I immediately felt a really strong emotional response to it. And I just recorded a podcast episode on living a life by inspiration and faith. So how can I feel this strong emotional response when I'm thinking about friendship and then not do a podcast on that? Seems like it wouldn't be the right thing to do. So here I am. One of the reasons why this podcast is later than it is you'll notice I have some new equipment. Hopefully that means that you're getting a better sound quality than normal. Hopefully that means that it'll be easier to understand some of the stuff that I say. Now, as I was trying to make my podcast, I always want to make a podcast where I feel like I'm adding something of value into your life, where I have something that I can bring to you. And at first, even though I had this really strong emotional response, I didn't feel like I knew exactly what I wanted to say. And I struggled a little bit. I didn't know what could I add that would be really valuable to you as a listener. Well, it came to me, and I thought about it, and I had this story that I want to share with you. And there's this woman, she's at the grocery store, she's with her son, they're looking at some clothing. She looks at some clothing, kind of looks at the tag. All of a sudden she looks down and she doesn't see her son anywhere. She looks everywhere. She starts becoming frantic. She calls his name. She looks down an aisle. She looks down another aisle. She looks in between some clothing racks and can't find him. And right when she's starting to get really scared, she hears a sound. And it's the laughter of her little boy. She looks up, she looks over, and around the corner comes her little boy holding hands with this woman, laughing and talking with her, looking for his mother. Now, I don't know if this story actually ever happened, but if it did, it was about me. When I was a little kid, my mother was always worried that I was going to get abducted because I'm the kind of boy that would run off, meet some random stranger, and go up and give them a hug just because they looked fun and friendly and somebody that I wanted to get to meet. I've always been somebody that valued connection. Now, if you haven't seen a little boy or a little girl like what I just described, maybe you've seen this other scenario. You see this cute little boy or girl in the grocery store or wherever it might be, you might even know their parent, and you start talking to this little child. And what do? They go behind their mother, they grab their leg and wrap their arm around their leg, and their whole body is behind their mom. And then they poke their little head out from behind just to see whether or not you're safe and somebody that they can talk to, somebody that they really want to interact with or not, because they feel shy and they don't feel safe around you yet. Well, whether you are on one end of the spectrum or the other, or somewhere in between, over the course of your life, you had experiences that shaped the way that you formed connections with other people. Most people tend to be more towards that little girl side. When they meet somebody new, it's about figuring out, do I trust you? Are you somebody that I want to interact with? Are you in alignment with who I am as an individual? And then there's other people like me that are on the other end of that spectrum. And when we meet somebody new, our first response is, hello, you're my friend, let's connect. And then over time, as I get to know this person, I see whether or not I can trust them. I see whether or not they're on the same wavelength as me. Then I start to put them into a category and figure out what kind of relationship I want to have with that individual. Well, if you're like me, that can be really difficult. That can be really challenging. To be somebody where you instantly have faith and trust in this other person. And then what ends up happening? You get hurt because you don't have any boundaries in place. You just instantly trust this individual and believe that you are going to be able to be good friends, good romantic partners, or whatever that might be. And other people, they need that time where they get to know you, get to know what you have to offer, get to know whether or not they trust you before they decide where they want you in their life, if they want you in their life. And so it's come to my attention, it's something that I've finally come to realize, is that I have to temper the way that I approach relationships. As much as I might be somebody who's instantly trusting and somebody that's ready to connect right away, to have these deep bonding moments right away, the other person is not in that same space. And the reason I wanted to record this podcast, the reason that I'm doing a podcast, is because I want to be able to make a difference in people's lives. I want to be able to help people with the things that I have struggled with. And so as I was thinking about friendship and I thought about how I have that struggle, I wanted to pass that along. So if you're somebody that's on that end of the spectrum, maybe what you have to do is you need to kind of shift your approach. You need to shift your perspective and start looking at it and first off say, who is this individual? Are they in alignment with what I want? And do I trust them? And then slowly work your way into it. Even if it goes against your natural self. I'm not saying don't be authentic, don't be you. I think it's great. I go to the grocery store and I see people and I just have random conversations with them. I'll make little quip remarks and talk about things that they probably are, who is this weird guy talking to me? But it's fun and I have a great time with it. But what I realized is when it comes to those more intimate connections, those deep friendships, those romantic relationships, I need to temper the way that I come into things. I need to slowly ease my way into it for two reasons. One, it helps protect me. It allows me to find out what kind of person is this and should I be trusting them? And two, is this the kind of person that I want to be in a relationship with? And what kind of a relationship do I want to have? The other thing that's really come into my life lately that I feel can help you if you're on either end of the spectrum is learning to appreciate each relationship and connection for what it is and not what it is not. Now, if you remember the other week, I had a podcast episode on grief within a connection. And it's this disparity between what we envision or want from somebody and what we're actually getting. And one of the things I suggested is matching their pace and matching what they have to offer. And it really does make a huge difference. Having connection is what life is about. I'm convinced that that's what life is about. We are meant to be connected. There are numerous studies that show our life expectancy, our happiness, all these things change when we have connection in our life, when we have relationships in our life. So definitely we should have those. Even if you're an introverted person, if you're an extroverted person, it doesn't matter. It's good to have connection in your life. But make sure that you appreciate and have the connection with people that they are capable and wanting to offer. Some people are the friends that you talk to once a month, once every 3 months, once every year. You call them when you're having a hard time. You call them when you happen to be in town and have a free moment. And you get together and it's great. There's somebody that is there that you love, that you trust, and that supports you. There's people that come into your life that they are your cheerleader. There's somebody that sits on the sidelines and encourages you through life. There's people that you talk to whenever you're having difficult times. There's people that you go and you have fun interactions and go do activities together. And there's people that encompass all of those things. But not everybody needs to be everything. Some people are in a point in their life where they don't have more to offer you. As much as you want something more from them, the most they can offer is this kind of relationship. If you sit there and you're constantly thinking about what you don't have with this person, then you could end up losing something beautiful, something that could add joy and fulfillment to your life, because all you can do is focus on the thing that you don't have instead of appreciating what you do have. I know that's a lesson that I am learning in life, It's been a hard lesson to learn, but it has been worth it. I'm starting to add more and more and more people into my life that fill different roles, that can help me in different times. And the great thing about that is you don't end up overburdening those friends. I had a period in my life where I was struggling a lot. It was after my divorce, and I was grasping on to anybody I could in order to help me through those hard times. And I had a lot of emotion. I didn't know how to manage that emotion in those moments. And so I co-regulated. I allowed other people to take on the burden of my emotions, which is great to have people that can help you take on those burdens, but not great when you do it time and time and time and time again, to where it feels like every time they interact with you, they're going to be hit with something heavy. And I really believe that I ended up losing some really great relationships, some really great friendships because of that. I also feel like I have lost some really great romantic relationships because of the stories in my mind, because I couldn't handle the disparity between where I was and where I wanted to be with this person. So as you learn to appreciate where you are, to be present, to be in the moment, to understand that some people only want certain things from you and some people only have certain things to give, and then matching those spaces, you're gonna have so much more joy in your life. You'll have all these people that you can turn to, that you can share life with and appreciate life with. And if any of those people are listening, I am so grateful for you. The people that have come into my life over the last few years, and the few people that are there from before the last few years that have stayed in my life. I would not be here if it wasn't for you. I could not be the man that I am now and trying to make the difference that I want to make in this world if it weren't for individuals that love me, support me, and cheer me on. I love you so much. And if you're in one of those times of your life where you feel like you are alone and there is nobody, I promise you there are. Go put yourself in groups, put yourself out there. I know it's not easy. It's not easy to go out and be the only person that you know in a group, but it's worth it. You can find connection. You can find love. I believe in you. I know you can do it. And until next week, remember that you are not alone.